Grand Rising. First of all, I had to delete hella things from my camera so that I could be able to even record this. Cause when I tell you it was like you got this much memory left, it's not gonna work. Yeah, so for the last couple months, I have been struggling to maintain podcasts. I don't know what's up with my camera lens, and I'm gonna try to. I think it might be some stuff inside the actual. See that thing on my forehead there? Okay, the people listening to the podcast cannot see it, but if you go to my YouTube, you can watch this. I have to set up the other YouTube account so that I can transfer all the videos to the account specifically for the podcast. I digress. Regardless of Grand Rising. Okay. I forgot to check what episode this is. I'm gonna go with 5. I think I skipped a month. But if I didn't skip a month, it's 6. Of episode so this is episode 5 or 6. Depending. I should have checked all this stuff out. No, I shouldn't have. There's no should have. This is what's happening. You're getting it. You're getting it live. You're getting it how I would give it. But yeah, I ain't got no clothes on. I ain't got no, and I'm laying in bed very comfortably. But it's the morning this time. At least I'm not recording video in the dark like normally when I just be here and 6 in the morning. I mean, it's like 2 in the morning more frequently than not. But I digress. And this episode is going to be called Barely Every Hue. I don't know what episode this is, and I've already covered that. But I did take some notes. I took some notes. Wrote that shit in 5 minutes because once you're flowing, you're just going. There were several other ideas that I had planned for this month, but this one seemed to be the most effective because it is... What is today? Today is the 18th of June. And with all of the current environment around Juneteenth and there being so much hype in Portland after months and months of anti-blackness being the prominent culture, to witness so much pandering towards black people got me in my feels. My feels are definitely in right now. I'm definitely in those feelings. And I want to be able to communicate from a place. I'm always communicating from the same place, which is really authentic and almost without filter. But I think I give a lot of thought to what I say and how I say and when I say. So if you ever feel like I don't have a filter, I probably need to talk to you in private so that you can hear what unfiltered thoughts actually look like from me. But I digress. I digress. So anyways, firstly, on my list of things to talk about is I'm not black. I'm not. As much as you wanna give power to the blackness that you see or interpret, I am a rainbow of experiences that thousands of years of colorful ancestors have painted me out to be, is what I wrote down, I think. I am not black. I am a rainbow of experiences that thousands of years of colorful history has painted me out to be. My grandmother was a lighter color than me. My great-grandmother was a lighter color than me. There's lots there, The last name that comes from my father is definitely of the descendants of people who are lighter than me. There's a lot that goes into that. I'm going to turn that off because it's going to do that a lot and I'm going to get irritated by it. And I know you specifically can't hear what that is, maybe because I'm talking a lot, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and unplug my phone real quick, get up so you can't see none of my naked. Going to just keep that on my face and you get to see some plants as I move around my space. Yeah. And I'm just going to go over here, point it back to my face, turn it off. I appreciate you. I found that air conditioner in the hallway. It is an amazing blessing in my life because the summer has been hello. It has been hello hot, okay? I digress. I'm just going to get some of that in there Thanks. Back to what I was saying, though, is I'm a plethora of experiences up until this point. Maybe I want to sit up. I don't know. Okay, I'm not feeling so terrible. Um, I'm a plethora of experiences that have got me to this point. I've got some uh, Jamaican in there from my father's side. On his father's side, there's Native American in there from my mother's father's. I don't have a. This is brown. I'm brown. I'm brown. And if you feel like I have internalized feelings about a thing, I just want you to know that if you think history itself has been explained to us as solid, secure information, then you are struggling. I don't have that struggle right now. I'm not currently in the placement to think that what American society has taught me about me is true. What I have done is I've come to the placement of understanding that everything I know about history, all of it, listen, all of the things that I know about history are false. There are some truths tied into it, but most of that shit is wrong. And I'm not trying to like have the argument with you. I just want you to go research. I spent years alone. It is a narrative that is a part of almost every podcast you have heard from me. I spent years alone and I had nothing but me and my own thoughts to travel with. So there's some like limitless meditation practices there that you could look on the Eastern philosophies. And then there's like the studious monk that I was trying to attempt to be when I just want to discover myself. So when I went through the facts of trying to discover myself, when I went through the pacing of trying to give myself this wonderful this internalized processing. What did I used to call it? I used to say it was called introspection. I used to use introspection as like a dating on dating apps. I used to be like, if you don't practice introspection, I don't want nothing to do with you. Now, little did you know, introspection is just like you thinking about yourself inside of yourself. So it is a thing that everyone does already, and I didn't specify how much introspection you needed to have. And people were like, well, I do think about myself. So there were some experiences there had and learned, I got some stuff in there, but also it's fine. It's fine. We made it. We got to this point. This is great. With that, kind of communicating further into that is just like, this isn't me. This jiggle sternness, solid density, not real. Is atoms don't touch. 99% empty space, okay? 99.99999. That number just trails on for a bit. Not real. It's not. What we understand as science is theory. None of it's factual. I had this conversation while being checked into the Social Security office because, labels and jazz, and you need to have titles and things like that. While walking into the Social Security office, there was an experience that I was having with the security officer who asked about my necklace. And it was like, does it mean anything? Because you have to like take these off because it could be a weapon or something like that. And I'm like, it only means something to me because it would be a closed practice because I'm the only person that does it that I know of. I don't know of anybody else doing the practices that I'm doing. I'm not looking. I'm not trying to discover whether somebody's doing the thing. I want to lay on my stomach again. Whether somebody's doing the thing that I'm doing or not. What I am doing is being very honest with myself about how I feel, what intuitive thoughts come up, and I kind of consistently practice that the thing that I want to be doing is understanding myself. I want to be understanding the rest of the universe, and I'm giving great space to trying to understand the rest of the universe. I went the macro route first, and now I'm going into the micro route, which means understanding individuals and humans and communities and all the systems that we've set up so that we can be there, and also just not like judging them. Pure potentiality is a practice that I'm giving right now. I'm still working on it because it's a practice because I haven't done it prior to this point in time. But what I've been doing with that is trying to hold space for blackness. So that's why I say I'm not black, because it's a word that was placed on us by the government. I'm not that. I'm not black at all. I'm indigenous. I was born here in Americas, Turtle Island, however far back, because there's other names that are on older maps that aren't the names that we keep calling this place. And I was born here. And my people are from here. And maybe some of them traveled from elsewhere, more frequently than not, all of them traveled from elsewhere, and some of them are from here. So I can't hold space for the word black. I'm not that when there's so many other words that are associated with being here from the people who were here, who have been consistently subjected to torture, rape, and like just displacement, you know, because there's I could spiel into that in itself. But with Juneteenth being the thing that's got me activated right now, because you know, trauma and jazz, and how blackness is being sold to me as a marketing scheme by not only white people or any other person right now who wants me to buy things and appreciate myself, but other black people continue to perpetuate into my face that black is what I am and black is what I should be. And if I'm not blackity black, I'm not doing it correctly. I love them. I want them to be as black as they want to be. I really do. There's no sarcasm in that tone. There is disappointment because the expectation is that we're doing this self-learning, self-healing process, and it's not happening in the way that I want it. That's where the disappointment comes from. I have an expectation. And I understand that having an expectation will only create disappointment in me. The honest portion of that is that I want so much more for our people. Our people being all of us. I would love for the race thing to stop happening. There's a very clear example of this in an episode of Rick and Morty, and it's a show that's been hailed as one of the greatest shows while also being held as one of the most repulsive shows ever. But the episode has this planet of people who have been taken over by a hive mind virus type of sentient being. And it turns everybody into the same person. They're all the same being. They're all practicing self-love, healing, wonderful. The society benefits itself. And then at some point in time, the hive mind is removed from all of these people. It's turned off in some kind of way, shape, or form. They're all, quote unquote, healed from this this thing's control. They have a full-on planet scale war because one people's nipples are long and cone shape, and then other people have flat, small nipples. This is like the entirety of their war. There's no other. There's arguments of this all over the planet. Like you like on our planet, there are like actual fights that the color of your skin being different is a totally like I can kill you for that. Even if we grew up on the same place, even if we were born in the same place, even if we're trying to do the same things, you not being the same shade as me is worthy to kill you. You not speaking the exact same dialect is worthy. There are fights noted in large portions of Africa where the noses being the wrong size of shape and color would get it sliced off and you would get murdered. Whether that's because someone particular's regime or just a group of people all believe it at the same time, regardless to me, it seems to be slowing down the process of evolution for us. We're not doing what me have an expectation, me understanding it's my disappointment based upon my understanding. It's weird. That's weird. That's weird that our blackness is determined by how much we show up as a stereotype that has been taught to us by a society that doesn't give a fuck about us. That. Right there. That. Very honest. It bothers me. It bothers me to no end that I'm supposed to shuck and jive all the fucking time for black people. Because if I'm not shucking and jiving for black people, if I'm not doing very specific things based upon black society, black culture, then it's not black. I'm not black, so thanks. I would love to be excluded from that group. I'm brown. That's pigmentation. I got a lot of red tones, a lot of yellow tones. You know, they mix together to make this wonderful shade of me. I'm Bear. That's my name. I'd rather you call me that than a color. I'd rather you notice me. And this, like, I host an event called Black Sundays. Like, the company I work for hosts an event called Black Sundays for people who don't fit into other spaces because of marginalized racism in our communities where you being brown is you just don't get accepted. I also dress like this. Look at my face. I mean, again, podcasters, I appreciate you for not being able to see me right now. I do love you for listening to my podcast. You're amazing. If you go to my YouTube channel and my link somewhere on one of those social things, it'll get you to a video of me doing some stuff. I dress like this, and I don't know where I got this from. Ain't nobody in my family doing this. I'm gonna swing over to this wall real quick so you can just. This is the kind of art decor that I like in my house. Both of those used to be alive. See those things right there? Both 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 of those used to be alive at some point. One had blood, the other had cellulose. But I'm I'm the first person in my everything. I ain't never seen nobody else do nothing like anything remotely close to this. I'm checking some stuff. Pow. Okay, facts. Cool. Got some information about the event that I'm attending today. We host Black Sundays, is where I was going with that tangent before I started getting onto the fact that I don't know anybody else in my family that was doing anything remotely close to what I'm doing. Again, not a special, hey, I'm so much better than you. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not actively practicing something, which is why I said it would be a closed practice when I was talking to the fella at the Social Security office when I was trying to get my Social Security card. I'm not attempting to do anything, but this necklace for me, every one of these is from like a different state that I've been to. Is it every state that I've been to? Nah, I'm pretty sure I found a lot of them in the same place. But like, let me see, one of these, cause they do its own freaky thing, you know. Let's see, can you see that? You close. What the fuck is that symbol there? Okay, get in there. What is that? I don't know what that is. I found this on the ground. I found all of these on the ground. But what's that symbol? I don't know. I'm not an electrician. And this is normally what an electrician uses as a washer to do something with something else. Cool beans. But the fact that I don't know what that is and I have it. So again, I go back to the I'm not brown. I go back to this is a closed practice. But the necklace for me is like the turtles all the way down theory that, who was it? Either Plato or Socrates? One of the philosophers was talking about it, and they were just saying that what's under the planet when they thought the planet was flat. So when they thought the planet was flat and it was carried on a turtle's back, there was supposedly turtles all the way down, signifying that under this is just more this macro, micro type thing. You know what I'm saying? I know you guys listen to this, and you get some entertainment out of it because I get monthly listeners, and that's great. I appreciate the fact that you guys even want to listen to these spiels, want to listen to these rambles, and you find entertainment in the thought of me having communication about the way that I think. That's super helpful. It's super effective. I really appreciate you, and I just want to let you know that it's if you find any kind of alignment in this conversation, you're just repeating this stuff. That you're just listening to thoughts you yourself have. That's normally how I've come to understand relationships. You're either there's three versions of the thing that you could be doing. You could be finding yourself where you were, you could be finding yourself where you are, and you could be finding an element of yourself that is like where you could possibly place yourself. And then you yourself get to choose whether you want to engage with that thing or not. You yourself get to choose whether I want to lower my vibration. I would like to go back down. I love where I am, and this is really nice for me, and I enjoy this for just the moment that I'm enjoying it. Oh, wow, that looks really cool, and I could definitely do whatever that is. And again, we're doing this very weird-ass segment of, belief that this isn't all the same stuff, which is why I chose today every hue, because this we're all the same. All the time, another big beneficial thing that I say in most of my podcasts is this: we're all the same consciousness. We're all practicing the same belief and understanding that love is the single benefactor that will benefit us all, even though we don't actually practice that more frequently than not. Again, this society, and, I say white people more frequently than not, and I will hold accountability to, the placement that still exists in my mind because that is the programming. I'm working away from that, and it's so difficult when I have stuff like blackness being thrown at me. It's so difficult when I have things like that being thrown at me because I'm doing my very best all the time to communicate from a space that says that I love, and you fall under that umbrella. And the fact that you fall under that umbrella means that I don't have to like you. I love you already. And I know that's a hard sentiment sometimes to understand because it's like, well, how do you How do you love me but you don't like me? I had an ex when I was like 15. It was like the first person that I ever done a bunch of stuff with. Hoover, if you're out there, I love you. And their name is Hoover for a lot of reasons, but I'll let you discern whether you want to ask that question or not. They explained to me that when we separated that they loved me but they weren't in love with me, and as a child person being in my early development, I didn't know what the fuck that meant. I love lots of people and I'm not in love with them in the way that I feel love from the universe. I find people which I can have that expression of love with, but change is the constant and it's almost very brief, very fast. It's like a thing that happens in a blip of an eye and then it goes away. Fear, insecurity, jealousy, uh, life happens, and that's okay. And this is why I want to live on land out in the middle of no fucking where, so that doesn't get in the way of us being able to show unconditional love to one another, because there's no expectation for a thing. But because we have preconceived ideas of what love should be, what it is, how it should be shown to each other, we tend to not hold space for what love actually does, which is just be. Side of my neck, you are, I am. It is where I want another tattoo to go somewhere else. I didn't want it that far on the back of my neck either. I have to basically like turn my head all the way over. I kind of wanted it to be right here so that when I was like flexing and stuff, you would see it. But now I gotta like turn my whole head so you can see it. But I digress. Let's see. I want to go to the second topic because I could tangent on this for a while, and I'm trying to actually keep this within an hour and a half, because I got to get dressed and ready by. I got about 45 minutes, so I'm just going. Secondly, I wrote down, and I'm gonna read these motherfucking notes because I wrote them, so you're gonna get them. Stop it. Stop it now with the whole white man's vernacular. None of those labels apply to me or who I strive to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to let a big old decompression sigh, because labels are the thing right now. They are the fucking fad. Black is a label. Black is a label. If you look into Black Law's dictionary, when you call yourself black, you tell yourself that you're not a person. Did you know that? Did you know that being called black says that you're like an animal, chattel? At that point, when you say that you're any one of these imposed titles that have been denoted to you to remove the aborigine, the indigenous label from you, whatever tribe that might existed of where you were born, when you use the label, it removes the humanity from you. I claim the term non-binary because to me it is like I'm kicking my legs, I'm having a good time. I claim the term non-binary more frequently because for me it denotes that there's nothing there. I also say God. I also say like deity. I also say I am the universe. We are the universe. This is the universe, to denote that we are all of this at the same time. I was talking with a recently removed partner, and I started crying with them because they were like, "Oh, there's a tear coming out of your eye," and I was like, "I'm crying," and I was having a jovial disposition, and my jovial disposition doesn't denote the fact that I'm constantly sad. I don't display sadness the same way that other people display sadness, and it has been taught to us as a society that embracing your sadness is a big part of like healing and relief. Also, we've been taught that like succumbing and wallowing in that sadness is a part of healing and relief. What? Why? I understand that there are different perspectives, there are different beings, there are different things. Why is like succumbing to any emotional constraint what we're supposed to be doing? Why is depression a title that you can ascribe to? I just want to sit with that for a second. Like, why is depression a title you can ascribe to? Why is that? Like, why don't you just change your life? It's not that easy to just change it. It really is. I spent a lot of time homeless. It really is. It really is. It really is that easy just to change your life. If security for you means being sad every day, then you're not secure. You're not. You're not secure if security for you means waking up and detesting the life that you're living. If you wake up every day and hate what you're doing and it makes you feel like absolute shit, then you're not secure. I refuse. I refuse to live in the placement that I must be uncomfortable to be grown. I refuse to live from the placement of if uncomfortable and discomfort is happening, I must hold space for it. No, no. Pain happens. Disappointment happens because expectations are something that we have. I expect my legs to work, so if I started walking and they didn't, I'd be really disappointed. If, for instance, I stopped being able to speak right now, I would be super disappointed, scared, startled out of my mind. There are other things that would go there. Disappointment would be one of the first things that I would rationalize through, because why is it not doing the thing that I expect it to do? If my phone shut off, if the camera stopped recording 25 minutes in, I'd be super disappointed because this thing is programmed to do the thing that it is currently doing, and if it stopped doing it, I'd be disappointed. Your life is only set up in the way that you want it to go. It only ever does what you ask it to do. Ever. Ever. All of its entirety. Having autism, being neurodivergent, those are terms coined by people who want to keep creating separatism. Feminism is just trying to make equality happen. Do I argue that feminists aren't something that I want? Nope. You're going to... Listen, I give two fucks. The first is so that you can know that the second one doesn't exist, because I don't give a fuck. I give two. You know? I care immensely about how humans behave as, like, why? Why is that? Why? Like, I have so many questions as to what... Does that help you? Like, does that behavior benefit you? You know, while I have concerns and thoughts about this, the podcast is where I release them, because actually communicating to other humans about the things that I'm concerned about doesn't create change. I appreciate you guys wholeheartedly. Maybe just having an unfiltered thought space is what everyone needs. I have had people recommend therapy to me once I talk to a therapist. A therapist is supposed to help me, but suppose, put some quotes on it, help me process thoughts that I'm processing. I don't seem to have any issue with processing thoughts. I don't seem to have any issues with processing myself, accountability for my actions. There's a lot that goes with being human, and I get that. But that's because society says that there's a lot that goes into being human. The simplest thing that I've ever come across as an understanding is loving. Loving is so easy. Liking is hard. Loving is so easy. It is the easiest thing that I've ever had to do in my entire life. Once I love... I housed like... I'm going to say like 1,000 gnats at least at one point. Am I proud of that? Maybe a little bit. But like, I loved them. Yes, gnats, fruit flies, fungi flies, whatever you want to call them. Gnats. I had a bunch of gnats in my living space. And most of them died. A good majority of them died. I think I have like 40 or so left. Thousands, though. Why did they exist? Because I didn't want to kill them. I had no desire to kill them, because at several points in time in my life, I literally picked up a vacuum, I literally attached a longer hose to it, and I just chased them around for an hour, catching hundreds of thousands of them. And it made me feel like shit. I felt terrible that I could take something's life and reduce it to an instance where I was uncomfortable with it. Which is why I never want anyone to stop practicing the humanity that they're practicing. I want to know if that's what you want to be doing. And if you want to be doing that and it makes you feel comfortable to do that, and it makes me feel uncomfortable that you're doing that, I can just go over here. I don't have to tell you to stop. I'm pretty sure there are tons of people who don't want to stop doing the things that they're doing, that you guys can do that together. I think you guys should build a community. I think there are places that already exist like that. Like Portland is one of those communities where people just kind of want to do whatever they want to do, and they don't want to kind of. My opinion is very, very skewed. I have a very limited perspective. I don't go outside enough because I don't care to. Most everything here is alcohol, drugs, or sex. And while at some point in time I had a really strong narrative to practice most, if not all, of those things, um, it's uncomfortable now that that's all that this is. I don't know if other cities are like that or not, but I know for black people here, everything has to be like swathed in alcohol. And when it's not swathed in alcohol, it's swathed in weed. And I'm a herbalist. I have an active apothecary building in my apartment. Like I'm actively building one to save up on herbs and everything like that. It it hurts to know that the only way we can be comfortable in this society is to constantly distract ourselves and to dilute our awareness. I run back to that statement earlier where I was saying that I was with a partner that is removed now from my life, that is no longer a partnership that we engage in physically. I mean, there could be some emotional support there, but healing has to occur on several levels for any of that to happen comfortably for both of us. I'm sad frequently. More frequently than not, there is an immense amount of joy and love flowing through me. But to take witness in the practice of this society constantly trying to denote that the only way we can be comfortable is under the subjugation of some kind of influence outside of ourselves based on a chemical response. And it's not something that everyone else seems to be picking up on. It's scary to me. It's scary to me that you're either on some kind of mind medicine because it was prescribed to you, you're constantly under the influence of marijuana, or you're drunk. Love in itself is a chemical response, you know? At least the one that makes you feel enticed to like lust and desire and want to communicate that. I don't think the one that everything happens through a chemical response, if we're talking honestly, because your brain is just a bunch of chemical responses and electrical output. You can produce a high in yourself by breathing. You can produce a high in yourself by putting yourself in cold water. You can produce a high in yourself by painting. You can produce a high in yourself by exercising. You can produce a high in yourself from eating good food. You can produce a high in yourself from hugging. There's so many labels that they place on us to continue to like denote that we are. If you say the word I am, it's essentially abracadabra, it's essentially I say, it's essentially this is what will come to pass in my life. I am. Enter statement there, enter phrase, enter word into that statement. I say I'm God. I say you're God. I say that everything that we are as a whole already exists, has existed. Its desire is to understand itself. Its desire is to embrace itself. Its desire is to come together in a peaceful manner. Peaceful based on my limited perspective of what peace is. You know, I practice chaos all the time. You know, it's like people are like, you're not on time. I was like, it's just chaos. It's fine. You know, if I wasn't on time, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. You wouldn't be upset. You wouldn't be able to communicate your upsetness with me. I'm on time for this. I'm on time for the conversation we're having. I'm on time for the reaction you feel as though is necessary to give me because you had an expectation of me based upon what you were taught I'm supposed to do in the society that we live in. Am I asking for anarchy? I don't think I'm asking for anarchy. I don't think I want a lawless place. I do want laws to be more relative to the people who live there, rather than these giant blanket statements that we put on everybody. Do I think everyone's going to agree with me or practice with me? Not even a little bit. Not even the smallest little bit. Do I want that? Absolutely. Oh, every fiber in my being wants to be understood. Every fiber in my being wants to be understood, which is why I have a podcast where I use immense amounts of energy to express through verbal communication that I would like the words that I'm saying to be understood. Is that going to happen? Who knows? I don't know. You know, you come meet with me and look into my eyes and see if you can see the vision that I have. You know, I've been podcasting for 2 years. It started as a healing modality from a painful scenario that I was in that I didn't have legal rights to talk about. And in August of this year, I will have the ability to express heartfelt pain and not have to feel secluded. I deleted an Instagram account. I deleted a previous podcast. I deleted a previous music space. I will have a great amount of healing after August of this year because there will be less shackles on me after an experience that transgressed because of behavior in a scenario that I did not allot control for. Human, I appreciate you. I appreciate the experiences. I appreciate learning how to come into terms with the power that precedes me and being able to funnel it, channel it into a proper modality so that it can be received well by those who want to receive it. We're moving on to subject matter number 3. Thirdly, let's see, I'm going to read this thing from the paper. Who are you? Who are you against this human? How do we connect? How do we relate? How does that change the palette from which we create? Ooh, let me read that back. I'm going to read that back because that was a poem. Apparently, I got some prose in me. Who are you? Who are you against this human? How do we connect? How do we relate? Does that not change the palette from which we create? Bars! Oh, yes, because, like, if I'm black, then what are you? Because, like, this is black. My hair is brown. Coochie hole brown. I'm sorry. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And I'm not going to stop this video or remove that part. I think the verse is my coochie pink and my booty hole brown. Pink and black are my favorite colors, by the way. Let me just... Yeah, no. So, like, if I'm black, then what are you against me? How does that make us relate? If there's the absence of color from the perspective of light, if there's the absence of light, if we are the absence of light, then what does that make you? You know, I don't know what color placement you are. I don't know what you denote yourself as. There was a quote. There's a fella on the internet somewhere. I think someone was doing like street interviews, and a wise sage walked up and was like, if you believe you are white, then you don't know you're white. You know? If you believe something, then you can't know it. I know I'm not black. I know I'm indigenous. I know I'm the universe. I know that God is. Whether you want to do Christian thing or any other pantheon, any other deity list, if you want to do that, that's fine. I know consciousness is, and I am is. So what does that make you if I'm black? How does that help us connect? If you denote me as this singular thing, this one individual tiny experience, what does that do for you? Are you also a tiny, insignificant experience? Like, I think, again, the partner that I've disconnected from, they use the word petty to describe me. And it's a black culture thing. And I have been just like, don't use that word. I don't like that word. That word being magic, has a lot. Don't do that. It means insignificant or trivial. I'm not petty. You're not petty. Nothing about us is petty. Don't do that. And then I thought of like how we use that word as a culture. We go around calling people insignificant and trivial. If I'm black and all of us can be petty, throw some quotes on it, what does that make you? Are you black? Are you brown? Are you white? Are you yellow? Are you red? Are you native? Are you indigenous? Are you Asian? Are you the thing? Are you very much a limited perspective of one thing? You know, how does that relate? How does that move for you? What does that do for you and your movements through this world? To be that one thing. That only that. And to be every other stereotypical thing that's brought up with that subject matter. Like if you're black, do you steal? You know, are you really athletic? You know, why don't you have muscles? You know, why don't you play basketball? Are you an angry black woman? Do you have baby fathers? You know, the stereotypes, you know. Do you want me to do Asian next? Do you want me to do Irish next? What type of Asian? Are you Japanese? Are you Korean? Oh, those guys hate each other. You know, where are we? Are you Indian? Like, what type of Asian? Because there's so many, we just smashed so many people into Asian. Are you African? So we just smashed so many people into African. Are you Australian? Are you Aborigine? We just smashed so many people into that type. What are you? How does that make you relate to me? What does that do for you? You know, there's so many questions. I always have so many questions. Like, why? Why is that like the perspective we want to take? You know, what's activated is the least of the words that make sense to the right now. When you denote yourself as a depression, are you a black hole? Does everything that comes near you get sucked in, absorbed, and absolved because you're a depression? Because that's what black holes are. They're just a giant theoretical impaction of gravity. Everything there is so dense. Are you dense? Are you looking at the blinking? What's happening there? Are you neurodivergent? Are you not a 1903, 1930 white male ranging from the age of 35 to 56? Are you neurodivergent? Because if you're not from 1903 or 1930 and between that time span, and you're not 35 to 56, and you're not white, you might be neurodivergent. You might be. Are you autistic? Does something you like make you focus on it? Do you have hyperfocus? Are you autistic? When you like something, do you enjoy doing it multiple times? Like, are you a gardener? Do you like painting? Did you base your whole profession and career off of healing people? Are you a doctor? Are you a lawyer? Do you like figuring things out, solving problems? Are you a detective? Are you autistic? Because then we can talk about like why you have a label, why you accept a label. There are so many different versions of you that exist that aren't under one word. There are so many hues of you. You exist in a multitude. Constantly, every day there is a multitude of you. Even if you wake up and it's a sad day. Even if you wake up and it's an uncomfortable day, there are so many versions of you in that one moment of uncomfortability. But to say you're just one thing, to say you're just sad, to say you're just upset, to just that one, when no thing is, what is the word? The word is, interdependent. No, the word is, pardon me. Doesn't mean that they have to be separated. And I can't think of the word right now. I'm experiencing lithologica. I'm going to pause and think about this word because I've got time for it. It's my podcast. If you don't like me thinking, then you probably shouldn't listen to my podcast because the podcast is you just hearing regurgitated thoughts from me. One of you guys have said the word already, and I appreciate you wholeheartedly for being able to read my mind, but it's not something I currently have the capabilities to do, even though it's my mind. My mind is telling me no. Oh, wait, we shouldn't sing those songs anymore because he's a bad person. I can't think of what the word is, but essentially it means that they're not completely withdrawn from each other. You don't have to have two things be separate of one another, and I cannot think of the word at all right now, and I'm not going to stop and record it. I need to have multiple devices going at the same time. Once I get my computer up and going, this is not going to be a problem, because I Google words all the fucking time because definitions matter. Not causation. Anyways, I digress, but you don't have to have two different things be separated. You can be happy and sad. You can be happy and angry. I've been happy and angry before. It makes me look like a fucking sociopath. Um, yeah, no, like I've been so upset that I started laughing because I'm so baffled by the behavior of the person in front of me. What? You have the fucking audacity? I have been that. Is delirium hilarious? There's so many words that could go into that, but I have been happy and angry simultaneously. How dare you think that I'm going to submit to whatever thing you threaten me with? Do it. You're going to have to kill me. Because I've been in scenarios where my life has been at stake. I've been in scenarios where people thought that they could sequester me with the behavior that someone taught them to sequester their behavior. First of all, it didn't work. It didn't ever work. Look at that deadpan stare off into nothing because I'm having a flashback. It didn't work. The universe said that I am fully capable of doing whatever I want, and if I am pressed into a deep enough corner, whatever I want looks crazy. And I will go crazy every time. I will push me into a corner. It need to be a big corner, but push me into one. I'm going to die if dying is what will stop me from doing whatever defensive thing I think is going to happen. And if you ever get to these points in these conversations where you think I'm being a little bit much, then you haven't had enough experiences where your life has been threatened and you've had to choose sanity and peace over staying alive. I've chosen staying alive every time, whether the threat was real or not. I've chosen staying alive every single time that I felt like my life was being threatened. Yep. I will choose it every single time that I feel like my life is being threatened. I also am very okay with the idea of this life ending whenever it decides that it needs to end. If someone has got more guns, bigger, stronger, harder, faster, I'm okay with transitioning. I'm okay with transitioning to the next phase of life, and which would lead us to our next segment of finally, there are some shades of myself that only transition will show. There are so many beautiful things tucked under the last, most outer layer, freshly painted, under a carefully placed stroke of luck. You're getting me at my realist whenever you see me. Regardless if you think I'm code switching, regardless if you think I'm not black enough, regardless if you don't think I fit into your white society, regardless if you feel uncomfortable by my blackness, by the color of my skin, regardless of you feeling uncomfortable about my queerness, the weirdness that says that I am in control of my own destiny, regardless if you feel uncomfortable, you're getting the most realist, rawest version of myself because every day I wake up and I'm the best me that I have ever been and ever, because this is the only day that this exists. This is the only time in all of this experience where I will be this thing, this day, this minute, this second. And if you think I'm doing anything other than being my best, then you have a comparison to what you want me to be doing, and you haven't clearly communicated that, nor have you sat with yourself to be okay with what is happening. You have expectations you have not clearly communicated to anyone outside of yourself. You probably have expectations of yourself. You probably live from a place that says that if something isn't going the way you want it, it isn't going well, rather than it is going. Rather than it is already happening. I talk on this podcast for me. I share it with the world so that I can get the thought out there. I'm okay with an AI taking my voice and my mannerisms and my communication style and continuing to heal the world after I'm gone. Do I consent to it happening imminently? No, not really. No, I don't want you to end me and then just like keep going as me. But if you continue to heal the world as me, if my likeness can be used to facilitate a overall better understanding of a personhood and love as a general consensus, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't cry as frequently as many people because I've experienced transitions. Death is how I'm using the word transition right now for context of those who don't understand it. Transition for me right now is death. Transition can be anything, though, and death can be a multitude of things. Having heard many of my talks, if you've heard many of those talks at this point in time, you've witnessed a transition occur from episode 1, season 1, to episode 5 or 6, season 2. This is only 2 years. This is only 2 years of me continuing to finally understand the finite thing that I am, and the massive oneness with everything. All of my plants in my house are named Love or Baby. I treat most humans like kittens and puppies because that's what we are. We are someone's child. We're some soft thing. And we like softness regardless of how hard we've had to be because of experiences. I'm soft as fuck. Look at my bed. Just go zoom out a little bit. I'm on the first layer. There's the second layer. And then I gotta lower it so you can see the height. Give me a second. Look how far I am from the ground. That's like 4 feet, 3.5 feet off the ground. This is my princess in the pea bed. And I am not uncomfortable because there is a pea somewhere in this bitch. I don't know what's in this motherfucker. It could be anything. I'm expressing that I like softness. I'm gonna just roll this ball aside real quick because that's my big ball for working out. See how them goddamn pillows? I like soft. My life was hard. It's not now because I have no more expectations of what it's supposed to be. But it keeps showing up like this, and I'm okay. I'm okay with the soft showing up. I'm okay with having accessibility to workout equipment and using it when I feel like it. I'm okay with having the proper protection and using it when I feel is using it. I'm okay with having a space that says that I can be comfortable. Prior to this point in time, I grew up in a space where I wasn't allowed to be comfortable, whether it meant food scarcity, heating, water, whether we had a door on our house, whether my mother was abusive, whether my father was abusive, whether her boyfriends were abusive, whether his girlfriends were abusive, whether I would get security from my siblings, whether they were abusive or not, whether my uncles would be abusive. I don't have to contemplate that anymore because as this thing that I've evolved into, this thing that you're currently witnessing, I get to choose whether I stay for someone's behavior or not. And I think that's the best part of understanding what love really is. Because self-love to me has been the discovery of knowing that I get to choose where and what I am whenever I want to be that. There are so many versions of me that exist in the world. Of the planet in itself. Every tree, every ant, every fly, every blade of grass, every Y is a different version of us. And we get to love that. We get to embrace the understanding and the idea that this is all us. And I got really comfortable with telling us no. Telling us, yes, I embrace this experience with you. Yes, I enjoy you. Yes, I hold space for you in my heart. Yes. No. No, I don't like that. No, I don't enjoy that. No, that's for you. I'm so grateful that you get to experience that. I'm so grateful that you enjoy that. I'm so grateful that that is something that you get to do. I don't want to. I don't have the desire to do that. And that goes back to all of this. It starts from the very beginning. I'm not black. I'm not white. I'm not gay. I'm not straight. I'm not non binary. I'm not a man. I'm not a female. I am. You are. You are. I am. And that's a really big part of this for me. Is coming to that realization. I don't know when it really happened. Again, I've been saying you are, I am for some time, and I don't really remember where the placement came from or how I got to the understanding of it. But I've had a teacher in every single individual that I've come in communication with. So I can't really say who taught me that. I can't say if it was that one mushroom trip where I heard every. I took mushrooms and it made the grass and trees and plants talk. And I haven't been able to stop hearing it. I haven't been able to stop hearing that every person has a child in them. A child that wants to be loved, because we've never stopped being children. We just got bigger. One of the thoughts that I practice very frequently is that a seed has all of everything it needs to be in it before it starts growing. Regardless of how big that seedling, that sprout becomes, that plant becomes, it has always been exactly what it is. So if you've ever run into anybody and you're like, man, you changed, they didn't. They didn't. Bugs go through so many fucking stages of life cycles, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But they have always been their top tier. They have always been the beetle. They have always been the like butterfly. They have always been the bumblebee. You're in transition right now. You're currently fluctuating through the hues of your color palette. You're going to become the painting you have always been, regardless if your canvas started out white, black, yellow, green. We're all going to the same place. We're all going to transition. We're all going to die. And that's okay. We're all going to return to the beginning of where the energy came from. There's this scene in Doctor Strange where there's this being that comes from outer space. And it's pretty startling. It's pretty startling as a concept. But Dormammu is a being who consumes other planets and creates them into the, like, empty space. I could understand from the space of Doctor Strange where I don't want that to happen to my planet. I can also understand being embraced by the darkness again. And it's a morbid thought for a lot of people to think that, oh, you just want to die. No, I don't. I don't want to just end the experience that I'm having. I would like to return to the place where I remember being one with everything and there being less complications. Because I've got a deep in my womb space, you know, the remainders of a womb, my prostate, deep in my perineum. There's a space in me that says that I remember being in love with the entirety of everything and it being so peaceful. To never have to argue. To never have to explain where my love is coming from. If that doesn't sound good for you, then we probably aren't running the same line of wires, and that's okay. This is what crying often looks like for me. If you see tears coming out of my face and I can't hold placement for words, then I'm probably frustrated as all hell. Like, angry crying is where I'm like, woo! I normally have to, like, give myself commitment to allow my body to do something other than, like, violently thrash. This has been another episode of Barely Doing Stuff, now with words. And as always, I tend to end these with I love you, be safe, always and always. I recently changed it to all is well, always and always, even if I don't enjoy it. And like the experience that I'm having on this planet, while I may not enjoy it, it is. You are. I am. Have a great rest of your day.